Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Houston Sports Talk back in the video today, and today we're going to be talking about how the Baltimore Orioles are on fire right now, and could they possibly be switching something up? It would be crazy to talk about, since this team is still 11 games under 500, but it's a lot better right now for this Orioles team than what it looked like 6 games ago. 6 games ago, this team was 17 games under, and now they've won 6 games in a row. And I think one of the only reasons I am talking about this and talking about the Orioles potentially bouncing back is for a couple reasons. Number one, it's such a long season, and it's only June, still got 100 plus games left, and it's not that crazy to be below 11 games like they are right now. And the reason I say this is because I witnessed this last year with my favorite team. The Astros were 12-24 last year. They were 12 games under. 73 games in, the Astros were 7 games under at 33-40. They had just lost a game to one of the worst teams in all time in the Chicago White Sox, and everybody was freaking out. And then all of a sudden, you see this Astros team, like 2 weeks later, they're 42-40 or 41-40. After just a week ago, it was 33-40. So, and then you saw the same thing, not just with the Astros last year, but you saw that with the Mets. Now, look, I think for this team, it's going to be a little bit harder than it was for the, it's going to be a little bit harder to make a comeback as easy it was for the Astros and Mets to salvage their seasons last year. It might be a little bit harder for this Orioles team. Let's talk about how they've let go of their manager. That's one thing. But in these last 6 games, you've seen some really good pitching for this Orioles team. That's one thing. The bats have been better. And so the pitching has become a lot better. Only 11 runs given up in the last 6 games in this 6-game winning streak for the Baltimore Orioles. That is 1.8 runs per game in the last 6 games in this 6-game winning streak. Also, Baltimore is one of the only team in the American League, and 2 of 30 teams in the MLB to not lose a game in June so far. I know it's June 6th, but not only that, but there's only been 1 game to be played so far. On the day of June 6th, so really just first 5 days of June. But the only team that has, outside of the Orioles that have not lost in the month of June, are the Diamondbacks. And so, but yeah, so pitching has been a lot better. We can talk about how Adley Rutschman has been a lot better. He had some massive struggles in the early parts of the season, especially in the month of May. And a good part of April. A lot of struggles for Adley Rutschman, to the point where his batting average is only .225. But, that number has gone up a lot for Rutschman after this past series. Because let's talk about the series Rutschman just had. Hit 2 home runs in the series, went 7 for 13 in the series against Seattle, had 2 3-hit games. And, in this last game that they won 4-3, he had 2 RBIs as well. And there's been other guys that have been well at the plate for them. But I think pitching is another thing we can go over. Pitching has been really good. Starting pitching as well. I mean, like Zach Eflin just had a really good start. He went 6 innings with 7 strikeouts, 3 earned runs. I mean, it wasn't amazing, but it was a quality start for Zach. And you can look at the day before that. They won 3-2, so you're keeping your opponents low in the runs, of course. Adley hit a home run in that game. And then this is what I want to get to, the starting pitching. Cade Povich, 5 1/3, only 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. These are guys, like I talked about Zach, I talked about Cade just now. These are 2 guys that have had some struggles this year, and you saw some really good outings against them, against a team in Seattle that is over 500. Seattle going into that series against Baltimore was number 1 in the division. After what Baltimore did to them, the Astros are now leading the division. Thank you, Baltimore, by the way. Then you look at the series opener of that series. It was 5. They beat the crap out of them. It was 5-1. Ryan O'Hearn hit an RBI single. Colton Cowser went deep. Jackson Holiday had a good game. This was the first game that Adley had 3 hits. And you look like at the start of this series, Rutschman's batting average was like 205 or the like low 200s. He finished the series batting 225. You look at this game, Sugano goes 7 innings, 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts. You look at the series closer against the White Sox. Charlie Morton had a really good game. That was June 1st. And that's been another bright thing for the Orioles. Charlie Morton in his last couple outings has been pitching a lot better than compared to how bad he was to start the year. Morton went 6 2/3, giving up no earned runs and 7 strikeouts, and that made it. I think that made it 3 in a row for them, and then you saw against the White Sox on Saturday they won 4-2. Holiday went deep. Mateo had a 2-run shot, and they got really good pitching from Dean Krimmer. He'll be on the mound tonight for them against the A's. He went 6 innings, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts. That's what I'm talking about. Great starting pitching in this 6-game win streak for Seattle. For Baltimore, and that's not surprising when you look at it. This team has won 6 in a row, and they've only given up 11 runs in that time span. Eflin, 7 innings and 7 innings. Eflin, I had it right the first time. Eflin, 7 innings, giving up 0 earned runs and 6 strikeouts against the White Sox. I know it's the White Sox, but like I said, these are some guys that have had struggles in this season for Baltimore. And, look, Chicago's a really bad team, right? But Baltimore going into that series against Chicago was just as bad. And Baltimore was able to, have been able to sweep their last 2 series. I look at this upcoming series against the A's, and I look at that series for Baltimore and say, okay, if you can go get all 3 or at least 2 of 1, then you're like, if you do that, you're now it's not 10, you're less than 10 games under 500. And then you look at the schedule that follows after that. Now, unfortunately, after that, you do have the Tigers for a 3-game series, but that is at home, so that's that should be a hard series. But then you've got the Angels at home, you've got the Rays, and then you've got a tough one against the Yankees. But then the Rangers at home, the Rays at home, and then you finish June with the road series against the Rangers. So this month schedule for the June schedule, like I said, you have some tough series. You got the New York trip. You host the Tigers. Those are the 2 best teams in the American League. But then you've also got a lot of easy opponents for this Orioles team. And I'm gonna say if they keep the band together, if they don't trade anybody right now, we know they're gonna be sellers. That's what we've heard. If they don't trade anybody by the end of the month of June, I think the Orioles could have a shot to get close to getting back to 500 because of the schedule that they have in the rest of the month of June. Especially if they keep playing like this, if they keep pitching like this, if they have their guys that have struggled at the plate for a good chunk of the year continue to hit the ball like they have in the last 6 games. Sure, like I said, I've said it. Sure, that some of their opponents in the last 6 games have been a little bit easier, but let's not act like this Orioles team has been bad all year and they're starting to win ball games. And this is a team that in the last 2-3 seasons before this year has been known as a winning team. They were one of the best teams in the American League in the two previous seasons, and then all of a sudden you start to see them play the way they have in the first 55 games this year, being 19-36, and now you've seen that winning baseball again, 6 wins in a row. I'm definitely going to say that there is a possibility you could see them get back to where they need to be, especially with the schedule getting easier as the month goes on in June. Outside of that Yankees trip and Tigers at home, I think this schedule for them in the rest of the month of June is actually pretty easy. Let me know your thoughts on the Baltimore Orioles being red hot right now. That's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out.